Hello and welcome back to TechnoSurgeon YouTube channel. So a person on X basically asked basically tweeted like why do we need 8 gigabytes of VRAM, to which Frank Azor tweeted out in a reply, majority of gamers are still playing at 1080p and have no use for more than 8 GB of memory. Most played games worldwide are mostly esport games. We wouldn't build it if there wasn't a market for it. If 8 GB isn't right for you, there's 16 GB. Same GPU, no compromises, but just memory options. To which it's a good trade, but at the same time, yeah, there is a market for it with 8 GB of VRAM because some people are essentially playing on 1080p. But at the same time, uh, not many people just plays like esports games. Some plays like action games and shows like various other genres of the games. And then there is a factor like some games can't just run on this 8 gigabytes of RAM variant. Yeah, true, there is a 16 GB VRAM variant available, but there should be also like a pretty massive change where it says like 9060 XTX with 16 GB of VRAM, not just on the box where it is demands like 9060 XT 8 GB, 9060 XT 16 GB. There should be a different naming conventions for this different configuration of memory, and also to better for the for the entire industry. Like 1080p is an outdated, not an outdated standard, but it has less quality, and most people are playing at 1440p, to which you need 16 GB of VRAM variant to essentially run those pixels. 8 GB of VRAM isn't cutting, but yeah, there's still a market for it. That's why they're doing it. But yes, now we got the tweet from it basically. Next up, we already knew like Nvidia's RTX 5090 had this problem where the conductors are melting, to which now PSU makers are stepping in, like Seasonic's next generation Prime PSU 2 will try to stop connectors from melting. What essentially they are doing is putting in some more things in their power supply to limit the voltages and stuff like that, which these high power connectors are delivering. Yeah, Nvidia should literally do any things about this connector because they are the first person that came up with this, even though it's assigned by PCI. But they are combination of companies, but Nvidia pushed for it and now it has issues. And basically Seasonic is planning to add a set of sensors, a microcontroller and firmware that Seasonic plans to incorporate into its upcoming power supplies. Will all work together according to the company. And to this, what it is like, these sensors will monitor. First up is contemporary premium power supplies can monitor their voltage outputs and current and can alert PC owners of a malfunction. Seasonic proposes to use a special external device to tell users about problems as well as enable end users to monitor their 12-volt 2x6 connectors while using their graphics cards. So essentially what they are putting is like another sensor on top of it, so that when there is a voltage fluctuations as such, and when essentially what is happening is like RTX 5090 sometimes requires more power which PSU supplies to it, and since these connectors and these cables are very thin, it's causing heat and essentially damaging the graphics card or the power supply. And also they also thought about it like when you're not in front of your PC and your RTX 5090 just essentially requires draws in more power, what to do, to which they said this measure doesn't work if you're not at your PC. To that end, Seasonic had added special circuitry with sensors that measure temperature and current 12-volt 2x6 power connectors near the PSU. If the temperature or current exceed designated threshold, next generation Seasonic Prime PSUs will not only notify the owner using an external device if plugged in, but will also trigger over temperature and over current protection that the power supply already has, and therefore shut down the entire system. So yeah, it's good and bad at the same time. Like if you're working on essentially a large project and you haven't saved it and your PC just shut down because of this RTX 5090's issue and the power supply things, then all your work is gone. So it's a bad thing, but essentially it's good because you're not damaging your $2,000 or $1,000 of graphics card. But yeah, Nvidia should fix their high power connectors and do something about their power efficiencies from this graphics card. Yeah. Next up, we have some great news coming from AMD, and we already know AMD is going back to its UDNA architecture, which is combination of their RDNA and CDNA. And there were some promising patterns which AMD was filing over the years, and this is a combination of it. The pattern indicates, the first is TLDR, which indicates a strong possibility of most almost feature level parity with Nvidia's Blackwell in AMD's future GPU architecture, likely as soon as RDNA 5 UDNA 5. Based on the filing dates, we might see ray tracing performance parity with Blackwell at ISO raster performance that are identical. FPS drop percentage wise between architectures. So essentially what it is, like, we are going to see a massive uplift from this pattern with ray tracing performance. And do note, from RDNA 3 to RDNA 4 it upwards of 2 times the performance, ray tracing performance. So they are planning to do it yet again. And what it essentially says is, with UDNA or RDNA 5 we are going to get the performance, pure rasterization ray tracing performance similar to that of Blackwell. And if more architecture changes make their way into next-gen RDNA than those afforded by the current publicly available patents filing, then it is very likely to exceed Nvidia's Blackwell on all fronts except likely only matching Restir, PT and RTX Max geometry functionality. If this is true, then that would be AMD's Maxwell movement, but for ray tracing. So basically what it means, like, if more architecture changes are coming to RDNA 5 or UDNA than this which are available publicly, then we will essentially might get more performance out of it. And maybe we will get, like, not high level ray tracing performance, but on par or maybe more powerful than Blackwell. And essentially with Blackwell, the problem is Nvidia is not focusing on ray tracing performance as such. Yeah, it is, but it is mostly coming from DLSS 4. And it is reassuring to see AMD match Nvidia's serious level of commitment to ray tracing, and we have likely only seen the beginning. The newly hired ray tracing talent from 2020-2023 have barely begun their work at AMD, likely a major impact stretching across many GPU architectures and accelerating progress with RDNA 6 or UDNA 2 plus. But yeah, at the same time, it's nice to see, but ray tracing thing has essentially stopped over generations, because we are not getting like those massive improvements in ray tracing, and everyone is focused on AI as such. But overall, it's a pretty nice thing to see. Let's see how things turns out. Next up, we have news. Essentially, AMD is forcing Nvidia to launch their new RTX 5080 Super. As specs has been leaked, it comes with 24 gigabytes of GDDR7 memory. But essentially, what different is from RTX 5080? It comes with 32 gigabytes per second memory and same core count as that of RTX 5080. So as you can see over it, it comes from Copilot 7 RTX 5080 Super. It is GB203, die 10752 cores and 256-bit bus, but GDDR7 24 gigabits. We already knew there was a 24 GB variant in works, but this thing is interesting. It comes with 32 gigabits per second, and essentially what happened is, like, since it's come with faster memory, it has a power voltage of 400 plus watt, as you can see over here. RTX 5080 comes with 16 GB GDDR7 but 20 gigabits per second, and essentially RTX 5080 is getting a massive uplift in bandwidth with those faster memory. But it is still rumored that the TGB is 400 plus watts. We still don't know exact TGB, but yeah, essentially what is happening is, since AMD launched their RX 9070 XT and it is performing very good, Nvidia has been forced to release RTX 5080 Super pretty soon, and Super refresh wasn't expecting until Q4 this year, but it appears Nvidia may be accelerating its plan. So yeah, that's why competition is necessary. But yeah, that's it from me today. What do you think about all of the news going on? Sound off your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll meet you in the next one. Peace out.